Team Justin Baldoni just got denied by Judge Lyman. Blake Lively is taking this to trial? We got to talk. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I'm here with It's Kim. We've been live talking about this latest breaking update. Lyman has ruled on one of the motions for summary judgment. And honestly, we were kind of shocked because our good old Ron Zambrano has gotten pretty much everything else right. Felt pretty confident that this was going to get dismissed, Kim, along with another one that we're still waiting for, the retaliation, due to the fact that it wasn't falling a line into FIFA sort of activities. And it did seem like it was a signpost that Lyman had put in his own ruling to sort of say, well, you guys didn't talk about this yet, so wink, wink. So we all sort of thought they were going to get this, but it turns out, no. The motion for summary judgment was denied for the aiding and abetting against TAG. Now, all the individuals are already out. Justin, everybody, they're all out, but the companies are still in. Wayfair, It Ends With Us movie, TAG, which is the agency group that Melissa Nathan works for or runs. I don't know how that works, but the group itself is still in the line. And now Lyman has said they are totally still in line in regards to aiding and abetting. There was a whole summary here. We're going to talk a little bit about it, but just Lyman said, no, you're wrong. I already ruled this before. This stays. So what's interesting about this is others have said if this had gotten tossed along with retaliation due to the fact that it was New Jersey events and FIHA is California events, that sort of geography issue is going to throw all this out. As Ron and others said, it seemed like this might not even go to case. All that would have been left was one last claim that was sort of a contract dispute. But now that this is not thrown out, there is now an aiding and abetting against TAG, Kim. And what that means is the smear campaign, the retaliation, all of it now goes to trial. So even if the retaliation one somehow does get thrown out, I don't think it's gonna, because based on what his ruling is, it seems like he's saying, no, it's still part of this. All of us who thought, oh, wow, it might be done. Nope, it's not done. It's still going on. And it looks like, Kim, we are going to trial. Again, if retaliation doesn't go, and I've checked with my people and talked, if the retaliation doesn't go, this alone is going to take us to court. And unlike that contract one, really does drudge up a lot of stuff that's going to come into play. So we talked about it earlier, but now that we've had it all out, what are you feeling? Are you feeling, look, there's two ways to look at it, right? Now Justin gets a jury to actually hear it out, or are you frustrated because this should have been tossed or settled ages ago?
I've always been the one that has said that this should have been tossed or it should have been settled a long time ago. Because it's become so massive. It has cost so much money. I really think the only people who are winning are the lawyers. And I do think that this is going to be an uphill battle for Lively in court, simply because civil cases at the end of the day are about money. And right now, people are struggling, and having really rich people being like, this guy called me fat, give me hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't think that's going to do well. And I know that's an oversimplification, but I hope that people can understand what I'm saying when I say that, is that because this is about money at the end of the day, I think the average person isn't going to take as kindly to Lively's side of the story. And I feel like we've seen that in the court of public opinion. It's kind of a reflection of potentially what a jury could be thinking. So I do think that this should have been settled, but we are going to court. And I think that ultimately that's what both sides wanted. Because if they didn't want to go to court, there would have been a settlement. So I guess at the end of the day, they are getting what they wanted, and we are moving forward to court.
One side's definitely going to regret it. That's for sure, based on how this turns out. But I'm with you. I mean, the evidence does, we've seen it all, right? We've been following this case closely. Ryan Reynolds wants to keep
People
saying.
have no idea what's really going on.
But we do, because we've read it all and we've been watching it all quite closely. And I think they're going to regret it based on all the evidence, because I'm with you. I don't see how a New York jury sits there for 14 days or whatever it's going to be. Whoa, the rich celebrity got called a bully in the press. It's just, I need $400 million. It's absurd. That's why they're going to be there. These people destroyed me. They're going to be able to pull this evidence up and explain, well, no, you did it to yourself. You did this, you did that. Here's the video. Shersty, I imagine, is going to absolutely be a witness now. I don't see how they can't bring her in. She's an integral part on it. You know, don't you agree?
Yes, and honestly, my personal argument is I don't believe that if Ms. Lively wants the comments about her weight that Justin made to be in this courtroom, then the little bump video should be coming in.
100%. She fat shamed Shersty.
I'm sorry. Fair is fair.
It's part of the doc.
Shersty
says it, but like, yeah, if anybody fat shamed anybody, it was when Blake went back. How's your little bump? Well,
congratulations
so
on your little bump.
She wasn't pregnant. She also couldn't have kids. It was just so disgraceful what you did, and could have just apologized, and you didn't. Yeah, she wants this in. Exactly. The fact that she wants to sit in front of a jury and go, he asked my trainer how much I weighed. Like, so Kent? Yeah. And then they're going to ask Justin, did you ask her? Yeah, I had to lift up the scene. And then we'll see the emails and texts of her talking about how this is an athletic event and she's getting in shape and it's so important. I need to look sexy. What are you talking about, girl? The fact that she wants all this in is crazy. Now, on the other side of the coin, though, look at the Diddy trial. Diddy should have been put away. In my opinion, it seemed like a clear-cut case when you really understood the RICO and how he did literally the substances alone was clearly proven that he was doing that across state lines. That and the people, boom, 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 was enough. He should have gotten RICO, but they didn't understand it and it went. Now, that was much more complicated, to be fair, but typically when things are complicated, a jury's not going to understand this smear campaign, It's all going to be very complicated for them. However, Ryan Reynolds is likely going to be there, sitting there in the front row, whatever it is. And the reality is he's this big time celebrity. And as I've said it before, I know we're all in this sort of bubble. I don't say that negatively. I just say we're educated, right? We have knowledge on this case. We've read everything. We've been following it very closely. We are smart about it. We know everything. This jury's not going to know any of that. They're not supposed to, right? And they're going to come in and learn whatever the story they're told by both sides. And it does worry me. They may come in unaware of this whole thing because there are a lot of people who don't care about this story. I've met them. I've interviewed people offline on purpose to sort of try to figure out, what do you think? What do you think? They don't care. They don't care. They're not bothered. Maybe if they learn more, they might care more, to be fair. But even the ones that did, they're like, whatever. Would you see a Blake movie? Yeah. Is it good? Would you see a Justin movie? Yeah. Is it good? They just care, is the movie good, and moving on to the next thing. So the reality is I don't think the general public knows or cares. And so in that regard, I do have one concern in that if the celebrity takes over and this jury is starstruck, that could be a really big risk for Team Justin, right? That they're not, going to see this guy. And there are a few texts that do make Tag look questionable. I don't think it makes them look guilty. I don't think it proves they're guilty. But if Blake's team is smart and her lawyers aren't complete dum-dums, all of them, if they're able to spin it, Kim, between the celebritydom, the distraction, I do think Blake will be better on the stand. I do. She's going to be a little frosty and defensive, I think, but I do think she's going to come across better. And that coupled with some of these, we can bury anybody and some of the stuff that they're clearly going to try to move out of context. Do you share a little bit of concern like I do that this could go the wrong way?
Oh, court is unpredictable. Court is completely unpredictable. Juries are unpredictable. So this could go in many ways. There's even been a part in my mind where I've wondered if it's going to be like, yeah, they'll be like, yeah, they did it. They did a retaliation campaign and we award Ms. Lively in the amount of $1. Like, we don't know the way that it's going to go. We have no idea how people are going to think. It's always risky.
They blame Tag and don't blame It Ends With Us movie, right? Because they saw the text where Justin's like, we're not doing this, right? There's a lot of ways this could still go. And so I imagine everyone's going to still be scared. You go in, I remember something Ron said. He was like, you go into these very confident because you feel like you're winning and everything's going strong. But you're right. You never can predict what that jury is going to do. So it's always a risk. And it's always why judges and everybody else try to get them to settle. And I can understand why Wayfair didn't want to settle right out the gate. I could see why Blake would have wanted to settle though. So it'll be interesting to see as the stories come out what actually happened. Who knows if we'll find out. But I don't think there's going to be a settlement now. Maybe if this is all denied. I mean, we haven't even considered that option, Kim. If these aren't denied and it really and the risk settles on Justin and team of not that you guys did harassment, but that Tag could be found liable. Tag could be found liable. Is that worth it? What happens then? Because even though it's not you, your team did, Blake's gonna be able to spin that. So is that worth it? Could that finally prompt Wayfair to be like, you know what, fine, Blake, we'll agree to terms? Because I wouldn't be surprised if Blake's not trying to settle this. But I could if I was a betting man, my assumption, chat, tell me what you think. I think Justin's like, hell no. And I think Blake's like, well, what do you want to do? What could we do? And Justin's like, nothing. Like, if there was any scenario, that's maybe what I think's going on. But I could also see Blake and Ryan being like, hell no themselves. But I don't know, man. After all that they lost, I can't imagine her team wasn't willing to hear things out. I'd be shocked, even as I know we hate them. You guys hate them, but you know what I mean, Kim? So there's a version of this where could the risk of tag being on the line and a jury not caring about them as much, could that cause Team Wayfair to say, you know what, it's not worth it at this point. We got the harassment gone. Let's settle this part. Let's just have it be done. We'll have a group statement. Do you think that could be in the cards?
Possibly. I look at it more from the perspective of so much of this case has talked about what is normal in PR. And I think a lot of PR people, and I'm not just isolating this to tag, I'm saying this about the PR industry in general. So much of PR, in my opinion, it can be very manipulative, right? They're trying to control a narrative. And people that do that don't want necessarily everybody to know everything that they do. I don't believe that this campaign was unique, right? Campaign, putting it in quotations. I think, as we saw, there were things that were being, or there were people that allegedly Leslie Sloan was talking to at the same time, that there was stuff going back and forth. So this for PR in general, do they really want that? Because it could in time bite either party back later on. So I do wonder about that. But I think the bigger issue here at the end of the day is about the rich and powerful going after someone who is not as rich and powerful. And I think one thing to consider here, believe it or not, is actually, I think about the Afro Man trial. I think about that, you know, so much I think of why the jury sided with Afro Man was because people with more power than him did things and had no remorse for it. There was wrong done. And he stuck up for himself. And some of what he did was quite extreme and humorous at points, but it was a lot. Like, Look of Lolisa was a lot for those of you that followed that. But ultimately, the jury sided with him.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, these people had power and they overstepped. And technically, I guess what they did wasn't illegal, but it wasn't very nice. It wasn't good. And he went, oh, I'm going to stick up for myself and I'm entitled to have a good time and make good times out of my bad times. So Lemon Pound Cake, which is a bop, was born. And I love it. I love that whole thing. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
It's just sit on the dock of the bay, but it's still great. But I have a question. And I want to ask this to Ron if I put it in our chat so we can remember. Like, what I'm curious about, like, what's the better move knowing that the Stephanie Jones case is still going? Mm-hmm. Like, does settling, knowing, well, let's settle this and then we'll really go to town on Stephanie Jones? Or does risk losing or tag losing in this hurt that case even more later? You know what I mean? You got to remember they have another lawsuit. So even if they settled it, Wayfair could spin it like we wanted to prove the harassment wasn't gone, but we want to move on so we can focus now on Stephanie Jones. So we did agree to settle for the movement of we feeling we won. The most of the charges were dropped. We celebrate the judge. And now we focus on Stephanie Jones. Like I think Wayfair could do a very good statement to justify their settlement. That might actually legally have a reason to do so. You know what I mean? So let's ask Ron when he's back if there's any benefit or worth. Can that factor into their decision? Because I imagine it does, because they have a whole nother lawsuit still that's pending against Stephanie Jones because they rep Jennifer Abel and they're co-defendants on it. So who knows? There's still a lot of options that can go. I know it seems Team Justin's making it clear they're not going to settle. And Blake's sort of implying it too. I want my day in court. So they really are pushing their way to it. I don't want a settlement. I think a settlement at this point would be so offensive from either side. To wait that long and then do it at the very last minute, to me, I'd be disappointed. I'd be disappointed. I won't lie. Really? You couldn't have figured that out 6 months ago to save us all hassle? Like at this point, I feel like you put your money where your mouth is and you see it through. So we'll see. But would a settlement upset you at this point, Kim?
No, no.
You still
Because
want it.
honestly, like, no, because the thing is, in my head, when I hear people being like, I want this to go to court, on either side, I just go, are you sure about that? Are you sure? Because if the whole thing is about reputation, bringing everything back up again is just the next level of the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
And that's what I say to Blake. It's like, this became so much bigger because you filed this lawsuit.
That's true.
That's why it got bigger. And on the Wayfarer side, it's like, do you guys really want all of this PR stuff that people try to keep as industry secrets out there? Because that's going to affect everybody moving forward now.
Well, right. And if Tag wins, which I do think they have a possibility of winning.
Yes.
It's only going to get worse. that agency stuff's going to get only worse, and everyone's going to be way more careful in where they're talking. That has got to be the biggest lesson from this case of just like, you are not allowed to email or text me anything about a client. Call me or hit me up on Signal. And I get it. I get it. Sometimes you got to work quietly, right? And privately. And that's clearly what Blake's team's doing. We don't have Blake's phone. Notice we don't have Leslie Sloan's phone. Can you imagine if we did and they didn't know we took it for a day to take their contents out fully and extract it and cherry pick what's on her phone? Can you imagine what we'd find on that device? I'm sure we'd find some stuff. What's
there would
crazy?
Be much tea to be spilled.
A lot of tea. But what's crazy is they had a phone from Jennifer Abel, who naive, whatever you want to call it, where it really could have exposed everything, like really exposed everything. And you would have thought no one had a chance to delete things. It was all just boom, here it all is. And it's fucking them up on multiple cases, it seems. It's now being put into the Rebel Wilson case. There's now a Scooter Braun case that's now on. There's like multiple cases that are coming out because of that Stephanie Jones leak. And it's, to me, like the fact that they had such, basically, let's call it amazing evidence of like, oh my God, you got their phone unlocked. We can go through every private message. The fact that they had that, Kim, and they actually didn't find anything real, to me, that would be the deal breaker for me on anything. I'd be like, so you had this person's private phone without them realizing it. You were able to basically take everything out, go through all their correspondence, and this was all you found. Like, that is it. Doesn't seem like you got anything. Doesn't seem like, it's not like they deleted it. They had it. And I bet you they could have gotten some of those Signal chats while it was open. You know what I mean? So to me, it's like, they have nothing. Even when they got this really shady way of getting it, it is what it is. In almost one way, I almost credit Abel and everybody like, okay, yeah, you saw our fucking phones. You know, there's really nothing there. Sure, we maybe bragged a bit, but you got nothing. So let's see your phone. I wonder, that's what I would do, but I know they can't do it, but hey, can we see your phone? Would you like us to check your phone? Let's see what she says in front of the jury. Sure, here, take it right now. Of course you wouldn't. Objection. So I don't know. I think there's a lot to play here, and we'll see how it goes. Sadly, we did not get Ron for this video. We were hoping to get him because he's in trial, so no pressure to Ron. We love Ron. We're going to try to get him back to give you his legal analysis, but we wanted to give you more of a dialogue breaking down this big update because I know, particularly, and I apologize, I was getting a lot of you maybe hoped up or disappointed. There's not going to be a trial. It's going to be thrown out. I take it back. Looks like we're going to trial. In fact, we're going to New York, it seems. So we are now back in. I was sort of quiet for a little bit because I didn't know what was going on, but we do need the funds. We need to get that first week covered. It's about $6,000 or so a week. And we're getting close to that first week covered. And I think this will probably be a couple weeks. So trying to at least get to half of that goal would be amazing if we can do it. So, and we're still looking for sponsors. If you want to help sponsor content, looks like we'll be out there in New York making lots of content and covering this. So please, if you can, check the pinned comment, go to our Give Send Go, givesendgo.com/Blake trial. That's where you can find it. Also on our website, etc. We will be looking for help. This also will go towards the documentary if there's anything left over. So don't feel like it's not going anywhere important. And the documentary is still happening. Go to popcornplanet.com, popcornplanet.com to be a member. If you're a member on our website, you'll get first access. And we're hoping to get that all started releasing before or right during the trial. So bear with us. We're doing a lot of work. We got a lot more coming. We'll be posting post updates on to the members on our website. So please check it out over there. And make sure you're following It's Kim as well. Subscribing to her YouTube channel, this channel, as well as whatever podcast feed you're listening on, because yes, you can also hear our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and others. So check it out. Support us there. Stay tuned. We got a lot more coming your way here on Popcorn Planet.